Hi guys. So today I wanted to speak about something that is not that easy to talk about, and there is also a risk of being politically incorrect. And I have to say that I haven't formed a conclusion or an opinion about what I'm going to speak about. I'm more interested in finding different perspectives to look at it, understand it, feel it, and just understand the dynamics that are going on around us. So the experience that I had is that I went to a bar here in Miami, and as you might know, with the weather here and the culture, in most of the bars, even if it's just like a street bar, a local bar, it doesn't have to be a nightclub or anything. The dress code for the servers is very light, very naked. So when we look at men, they're just nothing on the upper body and then some kind of pants. And for women, they are dressed in underwear, you could say. So fishnet stockings, and then some kind of string, maybe with like a little skirt on that they take off later in night, and then some kind of bra like push up, or and there's also this thing about plastic surgery, that it's not only used in order to kind of fix some imperfection or make it more aesthetic, but there is a kind of model of how to look. So of course for women, then that model is like a lot of big implants, whether it's breast or butt. And then for men, it's a lot of steroids, and kind of to the point so that you even think sometimes that the skin is gonna break. And there is something about, there's some part of me when I go there and look at this, it feels like a bit of other reality, like a fantasy. In a way, it feels like it can feel a bit like an exciting fantasy, because you go into a world where everything is kind of accessible in a way. It's right there, or it's almost right there, because it's not like it's yours, but you can see it, you can kind of touch it, but it's a fantasy world. And of course, in these environments, then the alcohol is really kind of the fuel, right? So in the beginning of the night, it's quite calm, but then as the night goes and there are free shots and people drink, like the energy kind of fuels up. And there's so many things that are kind of tapping into the sexual, with how the shots are given, with how the girls are dancing, twerking, with the girls dancing on the bar, and there's a part of it where you feel like, yeah, this is just a fantasy. This is party. This is like this is something we can't really touch. This is something that we might, like desire, and then it's right there. So I can understand and see how it's like selling a kind of fantasy world, and that people come and drink and relax and tune into that. But it's also this kind of unease when I'm there, where I can't help it. I can feel that unease inside of myself, and I'm asking myself where it's coming from. And then there are moments where maybe there are not even that many people. Maybe the energy is not even that high yet. And can be a girl that just like starts to dance a very super sexual dance with a share, and start to like almost, it looks like she's she's having an orgy with a share. And then people are starting to throw $1 bills, or putting it like in her string, or and throwing them around. And then next thing, the kind of the music is over, and you see the girl like kind of crawling around on the floor picking up the $1 bills. And then maybe another server that kind of feels like, oh, should not be on the floor by herself, like picking up money, kind of comes and does something playful, so it maybe looks like two girls like on the floor. And there is something in that for me that is so uncomfortable, and I'm putting myself in that situation. And I was working in a bar in Paris when I was around 18, 19, and I had just moved away from Sweden, and it was a completely new world. And I could see myself maybe tapping into something new. There was some, I was interested in Moulin Rouge and things, maybe become a dancer, things like that. And how, how I was playing with the idea how I could have gone into some kind of role like that, because I can see that it is a play. I can see that it's a job. I can see that you're dancing because it's part of how you get tips. It's part of like how you make your living. And I can see that, and I can understand that. Yet there is something so uncomfortable with just, with the paradox of the Me Too, and all the things that are up in the discussion, in the dynamics of equality, and of, of women's bodies and of men's bodies also, for that sake. I mean, just the fact that what steroids do to the body, and here in the States you cannot go into a sports club without it saying in the dressing rooms, what steroids do. So it's something that's very widespread here, and that the fertility, and even the way that we make love can be altered by the steroids, since they're taking the fertility and all the stamina in men. And then there are things like Viagra, and there are other things that we have to kind of, it's like taking one pill and then all the side effects, and then you have to add so many other things, and then you're completely out of what's natural. It's not natural for a man between 20 and 30 years old to take Viagra just because he's like, he's playing with his health and his body with steroids, and then the whole hormonal system. So it's not only the feminine, it's also of course it's also for men that there is something for me that is out of sync. So when I see this, I can even feel like I could probably kind of put on a mask and have done that kind of job, and even made money on it. I had even a friend who was a stripper when I was in Paris, and I know that she was making a lot of money, and she loved that lifestyle, and she was a dancer. And then she actually wrote a book a couple of years ago, and she's like, her life kind of started off, and a lot of her possibilities came from the money she was able to make, and she loved to dance, and she was a stripper, and that was perfect for her at that time, from the perspective that she was seeing it. And I can see that as well. And saying that, I can also, there is this thing that is taking me, like taking my solar plexus and like really making a knot and saying, is this really necessary? Do we really have to make up a world that is that false? Do we really have to play with people's desires? Do we really have to play with our own bodies? Do we really have to make everything in a street bar so it looks like the beginning of a porn movie? Is that necessary? Is that where we want to go? Is that how we live our adventure, our passion? And there's something saddening for me in all this, and it's like, it's without, I don't know, it's not about judgment, it's not about right and wrong, it's not about even finding who's guilty. Of course the bar that is employing those servers are kind of telling them the dress code, are kind of motivating them to dance the way they dance, or so there's something behind, like always, that is helping to create those dynamics and the expectations that are on you when you take a role in any organization or any grouping. So there's so many dynamics that are interplaying, and for me, I just really have to still get on follow my gut feeling and say there's something here that is flawed, that is not pure, that is not the way I want to see humanity go, and that's something that I feel it's important to talk about, instead of being afraid of it sounding bad, like sounding bad in some way. And my interest is also to speak to those girls sometimes, and those men, like, what are you doing? And many times there is a lot of awareness too, and like I said, it's just a job, and everything is energy though. So wherever energy we go into, by me choosing to be there, although I say it's not my world, I'm just going in and out, the energy of it is there, and it's in it's in my aura, it's on my skin, it's in my my hologenetic makeup. So I'm part of it, and when I go there and I consume, and I am also, I'm helping this paradigm, or I'm helping this to continue being there. So what is the responsibility for each one of us in being a part of a society? So yeah, this is my contemplation. So thank you guys.